The U.S. Supreme Court now set to decide the future of a Tennessee law that bans medical treatment for transgender children. Attorneys for both sides argued in front of the justices this morning. Demonstrators for and against the ban also made their voices heard near the steps of the courthouse. Some justices on the Republican majority bench pushed back against the arguments. Justice Brett Kavanaugh at one point raised concerns about transgender athletes. Tennessee Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti says he is confident the Supreme Court will side with the state. Latricia Thomas spoke with national correspondent Kayla Gaskins after her conversation with AG Skrmetti.
For the first time ever, the U.S. Supreme Court is taking up a case on whether or not states can ban gender-affirming care for minors. This centers on a Tennessee law banning puberty surgery as treatment for transgender kids under 18. National Correspondent Kayla Gaskins was at the Supreme Court today. She joined now from Washington. Kayla, what were the big takeaways today?
Well, Latricia, from the arguments, it seemed like the Supreme Court declined to let Tennessee's law stay in place. Several of the conservative justices were challenging this law. Justice Samuel Alito questioned whether gender-affirming care's costs outweigh the benefits. Another conservative justice, Brett Kavanaugh, said would be harmed either way, transgender kids or people who regret detransitioning. The three liberals did seem sympathetic to those who oppose this law. Ketanji Brown Jackson said she worries that we're sidestepping constitutional rights in favor of this medical care. And Latricia, before the Supreme Court's arguments, we went out to talk to some of the protesters. There were people who had traveled from all over the country to make their voices heard today on both sides of this argument. So we spoke with a detransitioner who wants to make sure that nobody else goes through what she went through. She started transitioning at the age of 16 and then detransitioned back to being a female at 22. And then we also spoke to a mom of a transgender kid, and she says that trans kids need the same right as other children.
And then after that, you spoke with the Tennessee Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti. How was he feeling about how the arguments went today?
Right, so how the Supreme Court works is traditional media isn't really allowed inside. We can just hear the arguments through the recordings as to what's going on in there. So I wanted to get a pulse as to what it was like inside that courtroom today. And Skrmetti said it was pretty tense at certain points, and you could hear some of the tense exchanges throughout the recordings. But overall, he said he feels optimistic. He does think that this is going to go in their favor, which the justices from listening to the arguments today seem inclined to do. And a reminder, Latricia, this is a 6-3 conservative majority court. So if they rule on those lines, then the Tennessee ban will stand.
And it will be some months before we find out their decision, right, Kayla?
Yes, it will be.
We'll have more from AG Skrmetti tonight at 10 and 11.